Welcome to the Change Life Destiny podcast, where healthcare is being reimagined one conversation at a time. We spotlight the people, innovations, and ideas moving us from sick care to self-care and from reactivity to true prevention. A place to connect, learn, and build a new future together. Get inspired at changelifedestiny.com. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Changing Life and Destiny podcast series. I'm Stephanie, your host, and today we have the beautiful and glorious Katie from Lotuswei with us today, and I'm just so excited to talk about this and this is such an earthly conversation, if you will, I think. So, Katie, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Stephanie.
We're glad to have you. Okay, so let's start by talking about you. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you found yourself here in this space with Lotuswei.
Yeah, I stumbled on flower remedies when I was just outside of college. I was living in a lot of different countries, kind of exploring like what was it that I was going to be able to devote myself to for the rest of my life. And I stumbled upon a master in flower remedies who was from Spain. And he really opened up my eyes to the fact that like there are, over 40,000 flowering species of plants in the world, and that every flower does something different for us. So like some flowers make us sleepy, and some flowers make us energized, and some bring us clarity about childhood wounds, and pretty much like everything you could ever imagine that would either hold you back or expand you, there's a flower for it. That was fascinating. And then the second part of what he said that really moved me was he said that if 3% of the world's population were actively working with these remedies, it would be enough of a ripple effect that it would change the outcome of the future of the world. And I wasn't sure really what he meant. I didn't really understand, I don't think, but it sounded really good. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. Went back to the United States, and this was in 2001, before yoga and meditation were even cool. And so it's just been like probably the first 10 years I worked with people one-on-one. At a certain point, I saw so many crazy changes in people that I thought, I can't keep quiet. I have to figure out how to scale this. Yeah. And that's when we just started making more flower essences and have, like diving into the entrepreneurial venture for the last 15 years or so of how to just reach more people and how to say it in a language that applies to more people and how to really meet people at their needs. And there have been so many changes over the years. It's been really fun.
Wow. Okay. So what did you go to school for originally?
Sociology.
Sociology. Okay. Okay. And did you just have a yearning to travel, and that's what took you around the world?
I mean, I think it was twofold. It was like, the logical, practical part of me was like, watching like students older than me getting roped into like mortgages and car bills and cell phone bills and things that were like they had to work in order to maintain their bills, and yet in their jobs they weren't happy. So it was like, ooh, I don't want to get myself in that bind where I'm working this job that I hate just to pay the bills. So I really have to figure out, like, I have to take some time with this and figure out what I really want to do. And then the second part was, ever since I was a kid, like 7 years old, I just had this like spiritual longing. Like, I know there's a tribe out there. Where's my people? I think a lot of people feel like that. Like an only child living in a small town, like, what am I doing here? And I was, got my hands on an astral travel book, and I was just trying to like astrally travel to where I know I needed to be of service. Wow. And that didn't work. So unfortunately, so I had to wait till I was a little older. And that was really what drove me too, in the more sort of like, intangible ways of just like, where is my deeper spiritual calling? And why is it that people hate their jobs? And what is holding us all back? And what are the patterns and things that don't allow us to like be our biggest selves? And could I find something that would help liberate that for people and help move us into more of a space of all of us reaching our full potential, or at least working towards that?
I love that. I mean, that is such a deep-seated, rooted why. That came from somewhere else for sure. That's fabulous. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about Lotuswei it's clear that it was a need to fill. And so tell us a little bit more about how it came to be and what are the most important things that go into your products.
I think the most important distinguishing factor, just to like right off the bat, is that it's not aromatherapy. Even though we do work with aromatherapy, we have mists and oils and things that smell good. What's really moving the dial are the flower remedies, which have no scent. And so they're working vibrationally, they're moving through your acupuncture meridians. There's a lot of science if you dig into the science around the subtle electricity that flowers and plants have. You can
Mhm.
harness that subtle electricity, and just by taking the remedies internally or putting them in your aura, they're moving through your own electrical system. So some people would say, well, it's like an acupuncture treatment without the needles. That sounds cool. The more profound aspects would be it's really digging into your cellular memory.
Mm.
So, patterns of actions and speech and belief that go 8 generations back in your family lineage, all the experiences we've had from womb until now, or even collective consciousness. It's
Mm.
turning the volume on the things that don't serve us and then turning the volume up on like what's our actual true nature.
Love that. Love that. I have been reading more and more and more about and diving into the ideas and the content that's available to help educate me about just how much we are all tied together. And especially with the earth and what has been given to us to be tied to. And so I just love that you have found this ability to utilize these plants in this way. So, okay. So then tell us a little bit more about dive into how this is different from these, aromatherapy, if you will.
Sure. So aromatherapy, you're actually dealing with the juices of the plant. So, the peels, the seeds, the stems, the roots, the flowers, all parts of the plant, and you would be doing either a distillation or an extraction. And you've got a highly aromatic, volatile oil that you can put into massage oil, for example. I always think of it as like the part of the plant that you're gathering is what it's actually working on. So if you think of the aromatic oils, it's like protection, defense from bugs, it's immune
Oh,
system,
yeah.
right? It's circulation. It's kind of like the blood of a plant. So when we use like a massage oil or aromatherapy, it's moving our blood, it's helping our nervous system, and it's improving our immune system. Flower essences are like you're gathering the consciousness of a flower,
Mm.
and then you're applying it to your own consciousness. So you can the net effect of that is you can see things that are in your blind spots, or that were in your blind spots, things about yourself that maybe you want to change or you want to expand. All of a sudden you can see them in a different light. So it's like this kind of accelerant of personal growth.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So we're not dealing with this is the analogy that's coming to mind because this is what happens to me when I'm on podcasts. These analogies sort of pop into my head. So instead of us dealing with the symptom, we are dealing with the root,
Oh,
truly.
you nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. And when you say root, it's like the root of the root of the root of the root, right? Because
Mm.
it's not
Dang it.
even like like some of us are trying to figure out like why do we gain weight and why do we have heavy bleeding or why do we and it's like well the root causes mitochondrial factors, right? But then
Right.
if you go even further, there's always a spiritual reason or an
Right.
emotional propensity to cause a weakness in a particular system, why that system versus any other system, right? So
Right.
I love to think of it as if I continually use flower essences now until I die, I'm effectively uprooting so many illnesses and imbalances that I'll never see in this lifetime because I'm
Right.
pulling them out with each emotional thing that I transcend.
Right. Oh, I love that so much. There's so much work to be done in that and understanding. There's so much education to be done in that realm where people just some are just not even aware that this is a thing. That this is a thing that's so important when we're considering root cause functional medicine, right?
I think we're so close though because I've watched how we've sort of done the allopathic thing and the pills and the pharma, and now more and more and more people are open to natural medicine. And now we hear people talking about light and light signatures, right? And so essentially what we're doing is gathering light from flowers and introducing it into our light system.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're becoming lighter.
Mm. Which, goodness gracious, don't we need that these days? I feel like that's something that everyone needs, but we need it big time these days, big time.
I feel
So,
like, yeah,
oh, go
life
ahead.
is,
Go ahead.
I think you're right. I think life seems harder to me now than it used to. And I'm not sure if that's, you know, some people might say, well, the world's just getting harder. And other people might say, but as a species, we're getting like our capacity is expanding in order to move through things more quickly. So, kind of either way you look at it, there's definitely more on our plate to get through. And so,
Yeah.
why not use something that doesn't have any side effects to help us like sift through it a lot faster? And
100%, 100%. And why not, just, I think you've hit the nail on the head about the capacity. And I just feel like the speed at which we are gathering information these days is something that has it's affected us in a way that I don't think that we really will understand for ages. You look at the people that maybe are not utilizing as much of the technology that we have at our fingertips these days, and what their health outcomes might be versus someone who is consistently glued to their phone. So that might be part of it too. Okay, so this is a fascinating conversation. I love it. Tell me, in your Katie Hess world, what is your favorite genre? And I'm sure you're going to say all of them, but what is your favorite genre of, let's say, client condition that you have personally been able to see a massive change? What are some stories, some stories of change that you have from your Lotuswei products?
I mean, endless. Like literally anything from people who can't sleep. They couldn't sleep for 8 years. They only sleep 2 to 4 hours a night for
Oh,
since they can remember, and they start working with flower remedies for sleep, and all of a sudden they can sleep. Like
mm,
that's a game changer for someone who
huge,
has chronic restless sleep.
huge.
To like, a woman came to me and she was grieving because she had just lost her husband, but then in the conversation it came out that she like was afraid of flying, and so she wanted to connect with the rest of her family, and she was kind of isolated, but she couldn't. She was afraid of flying, and then after a few rounds of flower essences, she had so many frequent flyer miles accrued. She was like flying everywhere. So
Love
it
it.
helps us burn through fears. I mean, you could think of like pretty much any challenge you have, it's going to diminish it. And then anything that kind of scares you a little bit, but excites you at the same time, it's going to expand it.
Mm,
There's kind of like organically over the years, it's evolved to where, and are you familiar with homeopathy?
I am. Yes.
So the first kind of like six, blends that we came out with, I had no idea that this was how it was going to turn out, but it was kind of like they're like the 6X. Like, what are the things you just absolutely need in order to survive? Like, you need love, you need sleep, you need energy, you need laughter, you need peace. And then from there, it goes into more like a maybe like a 30C. It's like, okay, now that we're like stable, we're gonna look in the closets and under the floor and like some of our trauma and things that happened when we were little and how
Mhm.
that's affecting how we relate to other people. And then there's a whole other range that's like, how are we in the broader community? And then in 2020, we came out with a little collection that was like, how do you rapidly detox?
Mm,
How do you dissolve fear on a collective level? How do you unplug from that kind of collective mainframe? And from there, like what I'm seeing right now is the people who are like really on the cutting edge of personal growth, they're working on like their deepest core wounds. And then
mm,
once those are uprooted, the next phase, which I think will be like sometime next year, will be about how much enjoyment can we allow? Like how much bliss, how much effortlessness, how much ease, How much can we receive? But from my experience, it's kind of like you have to go from like survival mode to digging in the trash to coming out on the other side and then digging even deeper. And then once you finally pull those last threads out that, are so deep that sometimes we don't even know why we have them.
Right.
Then after that point, we can open ourselves up to how much how much could we really allow ourselves?
Right. Ooh, 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 that makes my heart so happy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, wonderful. So, what do you let's future dream a little here. So, with regard to preventative healthcare, with regard to root care, and of course, when I'm talking to you about root care, you just mentioned it, we're going deep, 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 deep into those roots. What is your dream scenario about the future of healthcare?
The future of healthcare.
Mm, big one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think my brain has been so into, like, I could tell you what's the future of flower essences. I could tell you maybe how that hooks in with wealth generation and decentralized blockchain, but like
Hmm.
the whole big kahuna, I think I would have to go back to like what has worked for me. And
Okay.
for me, I have a team of people. I will, like, I've had to get ultrasounds in allopathic care, but
Hmm.
they're called in by naturopathic doctors. And then I have a whole team of like 6 or 7 or 8 people. Maybe you have like an applied kinesiologist that's testing your, you have, and everybody is like helping you put together the puzzle pieces. Like, I've
Right.
had a health challenge for the last 18 months,
Mm.
and literally I've needed like 7 or 8 people to help me put together the big puzzle pieces. And I
Mm.
feel like I'm finally like about to put together the whole puzzle. And then I wonder, how on earth does anybody go to like one doctor and expect that they'll figure everything out,
Right.
especially when there's so many siloed specialties in the allopathic world, right?
Hmm.
Like, I need someone to get my pulse and my tongue and make Chinese herbs for me.
Right.
I need someone to muscle test me on supplements. I
Right.
need someone, there's so many needs that we have, especially as the situations are like, I would say more complicated because of the world we live in, not because our bodies are complicated, but
Right.
just because of all the things we're dealing with. So that's a long way to answer you and say I think there would be a lot more teamwork, collaboration, and I see allopathic care as being acute trauma
Mhm.
or testing, but then hand in hand with all of the 3 and 4 and 5,000-year-old modalities,
Right.
um, that have so much more to offer that people have no idea.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that very much. And I do completely agree with you that there is too much pressure put on one person to figure all of it out if that is the case. And there are set in expectations or learned behaviors, really, I think, with a ton of people out there that are still just pill in the bottle allopathic, one doctor one time a year kind of visits. And so you're right. There are so many beautiful people out here that have varied expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so utilizing all of those different people is key. I love that you said that. That's honestly, I think that's the first person that you're the first person that has said that. That we need a team. I mean, we do. You're absolutely right.
And honestly, too, Stephanie, I think that there's so much to be said too for the basics. Like, we thought they were too simple, and all of a sudden we're realizing that, oh shit, actually sitting in the sun is not like some old wives' tale. That's like operating our hormone system, and it's
Right?
turning certain things on and off. And we need to shit properly. And most people don't know how to poop. We
Yeah.
think we know how to poop, but we
Yeah.
actually we actually aren't maybe doing it properly or enough. And
Right.
drinking water and all eating properly and all these things. I think there's so much to be said. Walking, now you hear so many people saying like get at least 10,000 steps a day. We're sort of coming back to this model of like, if you just do the basics well.
Right.
So if we had more education for the young ones about how truly important that is, I think we'd give them a better start.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And I do think that there are, like you're saying, more and more people that are in those younger generations that are open to learning these things versus some of those that are maybe older than us that are not open. So those doors are opening, the windows are opening, the curtains are coming back and people are seeing. So I love that so very much. Wonderful. Well, we are going to ensure that all of the things that you want to share with us are in the show notes for this podcast for sure. Well, you know what? I do have one more question before I let you go, but what are when you're talking about flower essences, I mean, what are the modalities at which people put them in their system?
So the traditional way is to take it long, long time ago. Doctors used to recommend their patients to go out into the wild, look for this specific flower for this, and then you drink the dewdrops off the top every
Hmm.
morning. That
Okay.
was the original way. It's hard to get that in though, and
Yeah.
so having it in a little bottle, it's kind of like having dewdrops in a bottle.
Okay.
You can scale the vitality of the flower. So I'm putting it on my coffee, water, tea, and then of course we've mixed them with aromatherapy. So you can mist yourself. You can put oils on acupressure points. It's really, we actually even infuse them into dark chocolate. It's really
Mm,
meant to be, how many touch points can we get you during the day? Because it's not about, I need to drink a gallon of this. It's really
right.
like, how many little touch points can we tweak your energy so that you can, hold the integrity of who you really are?
That's fantastic. Oh, I love it. Well, like I said, I mean, every time I would walk by your booth at Changing Life and Destiny this year, I was just overwhelming, the beautiful aroma and then also just the energy in and of itself that was coming off of every single item that was there and the people that were there. It was very evident that you guys have something going on that's very different.
People can feel it. And
Mhm.
there's this really fun little quiz. I don't know if you get to do the flower quiz where you pick the flowers you're most drawn to and
I
then
didn't. I was running around doing too many things. So next time.
yeah, I think that's, well, first of all, I just want to say that your event is the favorite event that any of us have ever been to. It is phenomenal. If there's anybody listening who hasn't gone, it is seriously amazing. And we were just so touched by the welcome reception of everybody and really shocked. I don't think, for us to go to the bathroom, but there were four of us. We hardly got away from the booth because people were so into what we were up to. And
Yeah.
maybe part of that was the flower quiz. So if anybody listening wants to see what that's about, if you go to our website, it's Lotuswei, WEI, .com, then there's a little quiz and you just click on the flowers that you're most drawn to, and then it reflects back what's happening internally for you. And then from
Ooh.
there, you can decide what to
That's
do.
awesome. Yeah, I saw the fresh flowers walking out as you guys are packing up, and those were in a beautiful little box and very carefully being held and made sure that they were honored. So that's lovely. That's just lovely. Let me ask you about the name because that's something that's interested me too. Where
Yeah.
did you come up from? What made you decide and land on Lotus Way with a WEI?
Yes, and the lotus is a symbol of enlightenment. So it's kind of like, they grow in this dirty, stinky, muddy, swampy place. And yet they have the lotus effect. Like no speck of dust can rest on the petal or the leaf because of they use it in aeronautics. It's such a special effect.
Mhm.
And it's like us, we're in this crazy, crazy lifestyle. And yet we can use all of the crazy stuff going on in order to bloom into our full potential. And then
Mhm.
Wei in Mandarin means transformative action for the benefit of all. So it's
Mm.
like using all of the good juice from the flowers in order to awaken our true nature for everyone's benefit.
Oh, I love that so very much. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so everyone needs to go take this flower test. I'm going to go do that after I get off this podcast. And do yourself a favor and really look into this because it is this type of work and intention I think is so very important and digs a lot deeper than than we can ever even completely understand in our
You
human
know,
capacity.
you know what I was going to say too, that like to circle back to that story of my teacher when he said if we could get 3%. And that's still the motivating factor for our whole team, is to get to, millions and millions of people, is because, and I don't think I understood it till 2020. I don't think I understood how the mechanism of contagion works in terms of contagious fear. You can also have contagious joy. You can have contagious courage, contagious empowerment, contagious truth speaking. And I think so many people in the world, we see these things crumbling around us. And it's like, if you look at all of it, just go on YouTube and you'll be overwhelmed, or like, and you think, how could I possibly help? And everybody wants to help.
Mm-hmm.
And it eases the pressure a little bit if you can take the philosophy of like transform the world from the inside out. Like if all I have to do, like if we literally are, like you said, interconnected with every single being, all I really have to do, I don't have to join 5 NGOs and donate my whole life savings to charity. I have to go inside and unravel those things that are holding me back. And that's the deepest, most profound way I can contribute to humanity. It's a little scary, but it also takes a little pressure off.
Absolutely. If every single person did that, yellow.
Or just 3%.
Or just 3%, because that's even better, right? Just even 3%. Do the work. I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Well, Katie, this has been just a joy. And thank you so much for being courageous enough to, at 7 years old, start to actually seek and to put yourself into a place where you saw what you didn't want and started going towards what you did want. And I think that things are aligning, certainly for you and for this company. And we're just thrilled to have you as a part of our team and a part of our mission. And we will do everything we can to get our listeners to understand more about what it is that you do. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for your next event.
Yeah, me too. Have a wonderful one.
You too.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Change Life Destiny podcast. If you loved what you heard, share it with a friend and follow us for more bold conversations and breakthrough ideas. Ready to take the next step? Visit changelifedestiny.com to join the movement. See you next time, and keep diving in, learning, and leading the change.